The secondary points are the north. The secondary points are the northeast, northwest, southeast, and southwest. Those are the positions between north and east. You call it northeast. The positions between north and west, you call them northwest. Position between south and west, you call them southwest. Then the positions between south and east, you call them southeast. For those of you that are just joining, you're aware that your class starts by 7 p.m. and I have to be here before you. Why does it have to be that way? Those of you just coming, why do I have to be here before you? Why? Aren't you taking the classes serious? Are you taking the classes serious? Because you're just joining
Sorry.
the class when I've been here since 7 p.m. Well, so we'll just take a quick recap before we continue. The topic today is bearing. The topic today is bearing. We did say that bearings are the distances, the angular distance between two or more points. Bearing is the angular distance between two or more points. And for this class, we're looking at these two types of bearings, which is the compass bearing and as well as the 3-digit bearing. We're looking at these two because that's what concerns the exam you are preparing for. So these are the basic types of bearings we'll be looking at. So, and then we started with the compass bearing. That's where we're still at. It was just winner and what's the other person's name? Joyce or something that were in the class. So now we started with the compass bearing. Then we said that there are four primary points on the compass. The four primary points on the compass. One of such points is the north. We have the south, the west, and the east. So you will have to learn how to identify these positions on the compass correctly. Otherwise, that might be an issue. You have to be able to identify where the north is, the south, the west, and the east correctly. So those are the four primary points. Then we did say, we went further to say that there are four other secondary points on the compass. The point between north and east is a secondary point and we call it the northeast. The point between north and east is called the northeast. Then you have a point between south and east. That point is called the southeast. So go to the west. The point between the north and the west is called the northwest. And then the point between the south and the west is called the southwest. So notice how bearings, a compass bearing is only read northward or southward. If you notice, you only have northeast, northwest, southeast, southwest. This is to say that compass bearings are read from the north, either from the north or from the south. That's how you read compass bearings, either from the north or from the south. Now we will look at some examples of compass bearings and try to interpret the bearings that they depict. So here, let's say that we have this. Let's say we have, let's say we have this now, and you're told that you have here, you have 20 degrees. You have 20 degrees there. So what would be the compass bearing of this position as illustrated on the compass. What would be the compass bearing of this position as illustrated on the compass? Let us say that this is a car. Let's say this is a car. This car is parked using this bearing. How would you interpret the position of this car? Now remember, when we started this, we did say that at the top we have the north. So here at the top, we have the north. Here, this would be the east. So you can see that this car is parked at the northeastern part of this position. But then what is the compass bearing of this car? The compass bearing of this car would be north 20 degrees east. That is the location of this car. This car is parked at a position that is not 20 degrees east. It means that when you're standing north, you turn 20 degrees to the east. That is where the car is posited. So this is the compass bearing of the car, not 20 degrees east. Do not forget, bearings, compass bearings are read northwards or southwards. You don't, there is nothing like east 20 degrees north. There's nothing like that. No. There's nothing like west 20 degrees south or west 20 degrees north. No. You either say north so so and so or south so so and so. Take notes. We've said that before now. So that being said, we can proceed to maybe look at another example. This time I would call someone in the class to identify or to be able to tell us what bearing this would be. So let us say we have another example here. Let us say we have this. Let's say this is a house and call this
Sir,
let's
can
say
you please explain
70
the example
degrees.
one?
Come again. Can I do what? Winner, you're asking the question if I could do what?
Explain example one.
Oh, okay. So for example one, we say that we had a car parked somewhere, and that is the illustration of the position of the car. That was the illustration of the position of the car. And if you now ask, what is the compass bearing of this car? Remember, what we're doing now is compass bearing. You can see the compass bearing, where bearings are measured northwards or southwards. Now, if you are told what is the position of this car in example one, if you look at that, you see that that car is parked between north and east. So already we know that it is northeast because it is parked, the line comes between north and east. So we already know that this is northeast. But then how many degrees from the north, how many degrees eastward do you have the car parked? You say the car is parked at north 20 degrees east because the angle has to border with the north or with the south. In this case, the angle 20 degrees is bordering with the north. So you say this bearing of the car is north 20 degrees east. Do you understand? Do you
Yes.
understand? Okay. Now I will look for, we have this example too. This is a house And then this house is located as depicted in the compass here. That's the location of the house. So I will look for someone here to tell us the position of this house. Let's start with Melody. Melody,
So I cannot answer it. Can I try?
are you Melody?
Nope.
What's your name?
Mubarak.
Mubarak. Okay, let's see. Mubarak. Okay. All right. So let's hear from you, Mubarak. Let's see.
South
What would be the
70
compass
degree.
bearing?
Sir?
Okay, south 70 degrees what? Yeah, I can hear you. South 70 degrees what?
South 70 degree east.
South 70 degrees east. Okay, Melody. Why isn't Melody responding?
Maybe no network in her side.
Oh, okay. All right, so we have south 70 degrees east. Winner, please look at this. Do you agree to this? Mubarak said the result is south 70 degrees east. Do you think it is correct?
No.
Okay, so if it is not south 70 degrees east, then what do you think should be the result?
This is east 70 degree south.
All right, winner, we're waiting on you. Mubarak has given us an answer. So now you said that shouldn't be the answer. So what do you think should be the result here? Winner, can you hear us? We're still waiting on you. Okay, so winner isn't responsive and we are actually wasting time. So if we look at this to test Mubarak's answer, at this
East
bottom here, we
70
actually
degrees
have
south.
south. Oh, east 70 degrees south. Okay, so winner, that is wrong. That's wrong. Mubarak is actually correct. Mubarak is correct. It is south 70 degrees east. That is the answer. So Mubarak takes this one. South 70 degrees east. South 70 degrees east. So winner, the reason why it cannot be east 70 degrees south, go back to this point here. Go back to these points. Did you see east south at the secondary points? Winner, I'm actually directing the question to you. Do you have east south at a secondary point?
Yes.
Look at this on the board. Is there east south or south east? Do you have it there?
Southeast.
Okay, good. Now, Mubarak, none of you got this correctly. You and Winner, none of you got this correctly. Mubarak, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
So I have just tested the both of you. I had to pretend as if this is correct to see your own reaction, but then you didn't make any plan to change. And then Winner too got it correctly. Do you want to try again, Mubarak, for this answer? The southeast is correct, but the 70 degrees is not correct. The southeast is correct, but the 70 degrees is not correct. You didn't join the class early, did you? You didn't join the class early, did you? Mubarak, did you join the class early?
No.
Okay. None of you
No,
actually
sir.
came early. So that, yeah. So that's why you would not understand what to do here. None of you actually came early. So we will deviate from this question a bit so that I have to repeat what I've been here since 7 p.m. I've been talking. I don't know if the class was recorded. Okay, so now this is what you should do. The south 70 degrees east, you said. The southeast is correct, but the 70 degrees is not correct. Now look at this. I did say this at the beginning of the class. You see, when you have these, there are four quadrants here. Each of them carries 90, 90, 90, 90. So you have a total of 360 degrees because each of them carries 90, 90, 90. Each of the quadrants. The first quadrant carries 90 is 90 degrees, second 90, third is 90, fourth is 90. In total, that gives you 360 degrees. Now, your angle must be touching the north or it must be touching the south. Your angle, before you can pick that angle, the southeast is correct, but before you can pick that angle there, that angle must be touching the north or it must be touching the south. Now let's come back and look at this. Is it 70 degrees touching the south? The 70 degrees, is it touching the south? Does it bother with the south? That 70 degrees, is it touching
Yes.
the line of the south?
Yes.
No, it is not touching the line of the south. Look at what I mean by touching the line of the south here. The angle is supposed to be touching this, like this. It's supposed to be touching the south, that line of the south. It must touch the line of the south or touch the line of the north. Those two, north and south, that's where the angles must be touching. Now look at this again. Look at that 70 degrees again. Is it touching the south? The body of the
No.
south, that line that is the south, is that 70 degrees touching it? Good.
No.
So it is not touching it. Now if you know that you're supposed to have 90 degrees in each part here, look at it here. If you know that each part is supposed to be 90, 90, 90, 90, 90, what is that balance? Now that you have that top at 70, what is that balance that will now touch the south? Since you can't take 70, what is that balance that will touch the south? What is the balance that should touch the south if each quadrant
20
carries
degrees.
90 degrees? Very good, 20 degrees. So the result you're supposed to say here is, you're supposed to say, so now you're supposed to actually say, you have this at 70. You will look for this balance will be 20 to complete the 90. And it is that one so that is touching your south. That angle that is touching your south, that is the angle you will pick. So this bearing here is south 20 degrees east. This is the correct answer. South 20 degrees east. Your angle must be touching your south or it must be touching your north. If the angle is not touching the south and it is not touching the north, then you have to look for the balance. If it is southward, you look for that balance, subtract it from 90 to get the balance that will touch the south. If it's not touching the north, you do the same thing, look for the balance by subtracting. But if you look at this first example, that 20 degrees is already touching the north. That's why we said not 20 degrees east. The 20 degrees is touching the north itself. But then coming forward to this, the 70 degrees is in the southeast, but it is not touching the south. And you know that we cannot say east 70 degrees south. It has to be southeast. We can't say east 70 degrees south. So you now have to look for that balance that can touch the south so that you can say south so and so degrees east. And that balance happens to be 20 degrees. So our actual result is south 20 degrees east. Do you understand this?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes,
so
sir.
you guys have to be okay, so you guys have to be very careful. Make sure that the angle touches the north or touches the south. If it does not touch the north or touch the south, you have to subtract that angle from 90 so that you can get the balance that you're supposed to have. Okay, so Efosa, Efosa,
Sir.
is Efosa in the class? Are you
Yes,
Efosa?
sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, so okay, where did you meet us? Did you meet us? Do you understand what we just did?
No, I just started.
You just started. Why are you just starting? I've been here since 7. I've even said a lot of things. That's why they were not able to answer the second example. Because I was just talking. I thought probably um you guys could come join, and you have to try to be punctual, you know. Well, you try to get up to speed from example 3. So, because if we have to repeat this, it might take us too long. So, again, let's look at example 3 here. Example 3. Let us say that, let's use a school this time. We have, let's say, 15 degrees. All right. Winner, 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 can you hear us?
Yes.
Oh, I think winner can hear us. Okay, winner, what will be the bearing of this school in example 3? What will be the bearing of the school? The compass bearing of the school. The compass bearing of the school. What would it be? Remember that here, this should be west, and I already know that this is north. So what is the compass bearing of this school? Winner.
15 degree west.
North 15 degrees west. Mubarak, are you here?
Yes, sir.
Why is it that, do you agree with winner, not 15 degrees west?
I can't see that how if it's touching the line like that.
You can't see what?
That line if it's touching the
It's touching the north. The 15 degrees is bordered with the north. That 15 degrees is touching the north. So do you agree that the
okay,
answer
that
is not 15 degrees west?
no, that is correct. Maybe she's correct.
We don't need a maybe, we have to be sure. Do you agree with winner that it is
Yes,
not 15 degrees
yes,
west?
yes, sir.
Why is it that this time, why is it that this time we did not subtract from 90? Winner, why is it that you did not subtract from 90? Efosa, pay attention, no, because so you can understand what we're doing. why is it that this time you did not subtract from 90, but this former example you subtracted 70 from 90 first? But why is it that you're not subtracting 15 degrees from 90 in this one?
Because
because
the
it's touch the
angle
line is touching the note.
is touching.
Did not. Okay, so Mubarak, it's not because the line is touching the knot, it's because the angle is touching the knot. So you're correct, but just the angle, not the line. Do you understand?
Okay, sir.
Okay, so because the angle 15 degrees is touching the knot, so this bearing is not not 15 degrees west. That would be the answer there, not 15 degrees west. Okay, so let's look at one last example and then we'll go to three-digit bearing. Three-digit bearing is the one that you will, see most of in your WAEC or NECO and even in the JAMB as well. But then this compass bearing is also a foundational part of the three-digit bearing. So we'll just take one more example and we'll direct this example to Omawumi. Omawumi, that's winner, Abi. Winner is Omawumi, is that correct? Okay, so we'll direct this next example to Lucas. Lucas, are you here? Okay, so Lucas has given us a thumbs up that is here. Lucas, you have to unmute your mic
I want to ask
because
whether this
you
class is taking notes.
come again. That person is still outside. Please mute your mic. The person that is still
Yes.
outside by the roadside, please mute your mic. Okay, you said you're asking a question. What's your name? This person talking, what's your name? All right, so let's look at example 4 here. 30, 30 degrees. Example 4, 30 degrees. What is the compass bearing of these three?
South 30-degree west.
South 30 degrees west. Let's hear from, this is Mubarak. Okay,
Yes.
let's hear from Lucas. Lucas, do you agree with Mubarak that this is south 30 degrees west? Lucas, we're waiting to hear from you. Do you agree with Mubarak that this is south 30 degrees west? Lucas, do you agree with Mubarak that this is south 30 degrees west? Okay, Lucas isn't responding. Let's call someone else. Odion, Odion, can you hear us? Okay, Odion isn't responsive as well. So Winner, do you agree with Mubarak that this is south 30 degrees west? South 30 degrees west. Could this be south 30 degrees west? So I do not agree with Mubarak that this is south 30 degrees west. The reason is because the angle isn't touching the south. The angle is not touching the south. And as long as the angle doesn't touch the south, then I would not agree with Mubarak because remember what we said that the angle must be touching the south or touching the north. So this case is in the southwestern part of the compass. But then that angle 30 degrees is not touching the south. So what should we do such that the angle 30 degrees touches the south? What should be done? Remember that each of those quadrants are 90, 90, 90, 90.
90
What
minus
should be
30.
done?
90
90
minus
minus
30.
30. Okay, so when we do 90 minus 30, we'll do that here. Then we should have this is 30 and then this is 60. So if you see this, it is now that an angle is touching the south. In the original question, that 30 degrees wasn't touching the south because of course you know that the angle has to touch the south before we can reach that compass bearing. So since the 30 degrees wasn't touching the south, we'll have to minus from 90 so that we'll have an angle that will touch the south to make it a complete 90 degrees. So the top is 30, then the balance would be 60 when we subtract from 90. So now we have an angle touching the south. What will be the compass bearing now? What would be the compass bearing now? So who wants to try now?
South 60 degrees west.
Who wants to try now? Now that we've
Sir,
gotten an angle that touches the south. Yes.
South 60 degrees west.
South 60 degrees west. So now we say it is south 60 degrees west. This is the result. So Mubarak, what were you thinking that made you choose south 30 degrees west in the first place so that we can talk about
I
it to prevent.
when the angle is touching the middle between west and south.
Okay, no, the angle doesn't necessarily have to touch the middle. The angle that you are picking must be touching south or must be touching north. So look at this, the question. That 30 degrees is not touching south at all. Look at the line of south here. This is the line of south. This is the line of south. This bottom. The top one is the line of north. So if the angle is not touching this straight line, that south, that vertical straight, the vertical line there at the
Yes,
bottom, if it's not
yes,
touching that south, then don't pick that angle. You have to subtract so that
oh,
you have the balance that will touch it. That's why in this question, that 30 degrees did not touch that vertical line that is south. You will see it's not touching it. It's only touching west where the angle is, that your 30 degrees, where it is, you see that it's not making an angle with the south, it's making the angle with the west. And you cannot say west 30 degrees south. You can't start with west. You must start with south or you must start with north.
I
So
know that.
because it's not touching the south, yes. So because it's not touching the south, that was why you now have to look for a balance that can touch the south. And once you have that balance that can touch the south, which was 60, because we know that all of them are carrying 90, 90, 90, 90. So once we've gotten that balance that can touch the south, we got it at 60. That is when we can now say south 60 degrees west, because that 60 degrees is touching our south, and the angle must touch the south or touch the north before you can read it. Do you understand that now?
Yes, sir.
Winner, do you understand? Okay, Winner actually said the correct result. But let's just ask, Winner, do you understand this? Lucas, do you understand? Lucas, do you understand? Efosa, Lucas, do you understand? Okay,
Yes, I
okay, I see
understand.
that. Efosa, do you understand?
Yes,
Efosa, yeah,
sir.
okay, I hear that. Efosa, do you
Yes, I
understand?
understand.
Okay, okay.
Yes, I
Um,
understand.
is it Leke or something? Yes, I've heard you, Efosa. Odion, do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Hasn't responded throughout the class. Melody, do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Oh, all right. Okay then. So this is all for compass bearing. Remember at the start of the class, we did say that we'll be looking at both the um, compass bearing. It says here we'll be looking at both compass bearing and three-digit bearing. So now we've successfully dealt with compass bearing. We successfully dealt with compass bearing. Now we will look at the three-digit bearing. Do not forget, compass bearings must be read from the north or from the south. If you have an angle that is not touching your north, make sure you subtract that angle from 90 to touch the north before you say not so and so degrees east or not so and so degrees west. If you have an angle that is not touching your south, make sure you subtract it from 90 so that it touches your south. That balance touches your south. When you now have the balance that touches the south, then you can say south so and so degrees east or south so and so degrees west. There is nothing like east south or east north or west north or west south. You must read it as not so and so degrees west, not so and so degrees east, or south so and so degrees east, south so and so degrees west. That's why you must make sure that your angle is touching your north or your south. When it doesn't touch it, minus it from 90. And that balance that will touch it, you can now pick that balance and say you read the bearing together to get the results. So that's all for compass bearing. And now we are heading to the three-digit bearing. So let's say, oh no, three-digit bearing here. All right, so now we're heading to the three-digit bearing. What is the three-digit bearing? In three-digit bearing, all this is the most commonly used bearing. Both that's what laws and airplane and you know when you're calculating with great distances, that's what they use most of the time. Now, what is this three-digit bearing? It's just simply is a bearing that is measured from the north up to the position that you're looking for. You measure three-digit bearing from the north up to the position that you are looking for. And in three-digit bearing, you must give your bearings in three digits. Even if you want to say 5 degrees, if you want to say 5 degrees, you must make sure you write five, the numbers as three. You say 0, 0, 5 degrees. You can't say ordinary 5 degrees. No, it is a 3-digit bearing. Your digits must be 3. Your digits must be 3 in a 3-digit bearing. So if you want to say 20 degrees, you say 0. Number is already more than, is already up to 3 digits, maybe 130 degrees. Then you can just say 130 degrees because it's already 3 digits. But make sure that you don't give your answers in numbers that are not up to 3 digits when you're dealing with a 3 digit bearing. The digits must be 3. So take note of that. Now, the 3-digit bearing, we'll see the arrangement of how it is. Remember that said this, we did say that in we have 4 quadrants. We say that each of them carries 90 degrees. So that gives a total of 360 degrees. In compass bearing, you're looking at each quadrant alone. 90, 90, 90, 90. You look at them alone. But in 3-digit bearing, as you move, the quadrants add up to give you a bigger bearing. This is what I'm trying to say. In the first quadrant, let's say you have this, you have this. In this, your first quadrant, it starts from 0. This north here, this is north, east, south, and west. It starts from 0. This your first, this is the first. First, second, third, and fourth. You call them quadrants. First quadrant, second quadrant, third quadrant, fourth quadrant. Now, in your first quadrant, the angles you have there are, you have something like this. Now, you have 0 to 90. Remember that each of them carries 90, 90, 90, 90, as you can see here. Each of them carries 90, 90, each quadrant. Now, in that your first quadrant, you have 0 to 90 degrees. So here in the first quadrant, any bearing that is given to you that falls between 0 to 90 degrees, you know that it is in the first quadrant that you will put it. Any bearing that falls between 0 to 90 degrees, automatically you know that it falls in the first quadrant. Then in the second quadrant, any bearing that is greater than 90 in your second quadrant, any bearing that is greater than 90 to 180, you know that it will fall in your second quadrant. Why? Look at this, 90. Look at this one. First quadrant is 90. The second quadrant, 90 plus 90. Here, come I'm saying, from here to here. Look at the arrow. So in the first quadrant, 90. The second quadrant, 90 plus 90. So you will see that 90 plus 90, you have 180. That's why your second quadrant is from starting from the first 0 to 90. In the second, above 90 to 180. That's 90 plus 90, 180. So you see it here. That's why the second quadrant is anything above 90 to 180. So when you have 90 point something to 180, you know that you're talking about the second quadrant. Now, who wants to guess the kind of angles that we can find in the third quadrant? Who wants to, not guess actually, who wants to tell us the angles that we can find in the third quadrant using the same technique I'm using now? So who wants to try? What
Sir,
angles? Okay,
180 to 270.
no. No. In the third quadrant, no. Look at this. Look, 90, 90. So I've gotten 180 now. When you go to the third quadrant, this is a line of 180. The south is a line of 180. See, the south is a line of 180. So we are in the south now. That's exactly 180. So anything that will pass that south, that will pass that line. Okay, let me allow you try again. Try again. You're very close, but just something you have to change. So try again. Third quadrant, what angles will be there? Mubarak.
180 to
180 to what? It's angles that are greater than 180. Once you pass that south, it's just like once you pass 0 to 90 in the first quadrant, look at the first quadrant. Once you pass 0 to 90, 0 is in north, 90 is in east. Once you pass that 90, that is anything forward is greater than 90, then to 180. Now, once you pass the 180 again, so where should your angle start from in the third quadrant? Who wants to try? Where should the angle start from in the third quadrant?
Ma, wishing.
Okay, winner. Oh no, winner has answered a lot of questions. No, winner, no, don't worry, you have answered a lot of questions. Efosa, let's ask Efosa. Efosa, oh, Efosa isn't responsive. Odion, Odion, Odion isn't responsive. Efosa, would you want to take that? Okay, Odion, yeah. Odion has responded. So Odion, we're asking, from what angles do you think we can have in this third quadrant? We have gotten the first and second quadrant. So what angles can we find in the third?
I'd say 180 to 270.
Yes, but that's the same thing Mubarak said. There's something very small that you have to change from that your 180. There is something very small you have to change. You do want to try again. Or Mubarak, have you gotten that little change you have to add?
Okay,
No.
about to
Okay.
two.
Sorry?
What about
The
90 to
270 is correct. The 270 is correct. It is this 180 you guys are saying. It
okay,
is
what
this
of 90?
180 you're saying.
What of
No, in the
90
third
to
quadrant cannot be 90 now. In the third quadrant cannot be 90. The first is 0 to 90. Look at this. The first is
greater than
90. That's 0 to 90. Very good. Greater than. That is the word. Because once you pass this south,
greater than
any angle
180
you have,
to
yes, exactly. Greater than 180 to 270. That is the
oh
word I was looking for. Yes, because angles that are now bigger than 180, that's what you can have in the third quadrant. Just see, let's come back to this. Maybe you guys have to look at this very well. Look at this, just look at this very well. Look at your first quadrant, second, third, and fourth. Then now you can see there, first, second, third, and fourth. Then now let's come back here. Look at this.
Sir, please, my network is bad. My network is bad. Sir, please, I'm not hearing anything. My network is bad.
No be your network, it be like say na the man network.
I'm not able to hear anything, please. I don't. Sure.
It's not your network. Me too. I'm not hearing anything. No.
My 100 MB wey I do now, e wan expire. The man never teach anything. Oh.
The man.
Matilda, calm down now. Winner.
Matilda, when did you join? When I was now calling you to come and join. But you know that I'm online. I'm watching people.
I just enter the group. Now I see say you post everybody leave whatever you are doing and join the class. Now I remember say we get maths today.
You don't know. But you remember to eat to continue. What's our pressure?
Yeah, that's fun now. Why are you doing so?
These efforts are precious.
Yes. What so?
Winner. Winner.
Okay. Huh?
Winner.
I did
You can hear me.
yes.
You know who's talking.
Are you crazy?
Yes.
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 Oh God, thank God it's you. Oh, I miss you.
What do you say?
I say I miss you.
It's not only you. Like, I was even asking Miracle that she has heard of you.
Now parents they talk so Efosa.
Yes.
Wow. Nice to meet you.
Same to you.
So now as the man don comot, I wan come dey play. Yeah, now let's get the playing started.
Let's get it started.
What of miracle?
She started lecture, oh, but she has stopped. I've not seen her again, and I don't know their house in Jamila. It's like their park.
Oh, but we have not heard from her.
No, for like this week now. I saw her last week Friday. From on
Oh,
Saturday now till today, I've not heard from her. I've not seen her.
oh. Even me too, I've not seen her since look like about 2 weeks now.
The man have come back, oh.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm
Yes,
sorry. I actually didn't know that. Oh, did you guys get the explanation for the third quadrant?
No, sir.
Did you get this? Oh, okay. That means I might have gone off then. Okay, so I was saying that we're looking at this. We're looking at this here. We say that in the first quadrant you have 0 to 90. In the second quadrant, you have numbers that are bigger than 90, angles that are bigger than 90, up to 180. Why? Because if you look at this here, I was trying to illustrate it. You look at it here. If you look at this here, you will see that you have the first quadrant is 90, then the second itself is 90. That is why you see here, you would have from here to here, 90 plus 90, 180. That's why in the second quadrant, you have 180. So anything in the second quadrant is above 90 to 180. You can see the 90 plus 90. Then now, once you move to the third quadrant, anything you see there in the third quadrant should be above 180 to 270. Why? Because you have 90 plus 90 and then here plus another 90. So that's why in the third quadrant you're having 270. You are actually adding first quadrant 0 to 90, second quadrant above 90 to 180, third quadrant above 180 to 270. That's the third quadrant. So before the call went off, I was actually asking who can now tell us the angles that can be found in quadrants. Who can see the board? Can everyone see the board? Can everyone see the board?
Yes. Yes,
Okay,
sir.
so who will tell us the angles that can be found in the fourth quadrant?
Anything above 270
Should I
to
call a name?
anything above
270.
270 to 360.
Okay, that's greater than that is
Greater
greater
than
than 270 to 360. Greater than 270 to 360. So let's see before we quickly look at something out of draw the lines and then we end the class. First quadrant 0 to 90. Remember all of them only takes 90, 90, 90, 90. So first quadrant, any angle between 0 to 90, put it in the first quadrant. Second quadrant, any angle that is greater than 90 to 180 can be found in the second quadrant. Third quadrant, Any angle that is greater than 180 to 270 can be found in the third quadrant. Fourth quadrant, any angle that is greater than 270 to 360 can be found in the fourth quadrant. So I will quickly take one example for myself. Okay, let me just take two examples for myself, and then I'll start asking you guys questions one by one. So be ready to unmute your mic and please calculate well before you say an answer. So I want to take one for myself first. If I am given an angle of 046 degrees, if I am given an angle of 046 degrees and I'm told to put this angle in a I'm told to put this angle in a compass as 3-digit bearing, I will put it in the first quadrant. I will put it in the first quadrant. The reason why I will put it in the first quadrant is because I can find 46 degrees in the first quadrant. Because I can find 46 degrees in the first quadrant, because 46 degrees now is between 0 to 90. So I know that that 46 degrees is in the first quadrant, I will put it. Now, if I proceed and I was given an angle of 275 degrees. If I was given an angle of 275 degrees, that 275 degrees, I was told to put this angle in the compass. I'll calculate. I know that 275 can be found above the third quadrant, meaning 275 can be found in the fourth quadrant. So this is where it will be. I'll put my 275 here because 275 is in the fourth quadrant. Why? First one 90, second one 180, third one 270. That means 275 is above the third one, meaning the fourth quadrant. That's why I can find 275. I'll put it there. But then next time we'll look at, you can't just put the foot 275 in that place. Next time
Yeah, I
you
see
look at
your
it.
screen.
Sorry, you said what?
Don't worry.
Okay, so 275. Guys, remember we said I asked the first question, where can I put 46 degrees? 46 degrees. I said it's in the first quadrant of 46 is between 0 and 90. So I know it's in the first. Then I continue. I said, where can I put 275 degrees? 275 degrees can be found in the first quadrant because you know that, look, you said greater than 270 to 360. So 275 degrees is in the fourth quadrant. All right, now I will be asking you guys question quickly, one by one. Please don't answer another person's question. I'll call your names and then we'll see what you can do. So let's say 178 degrees. 178 degrees. Lucas, 178 degrees. Tell us what quadrant we can draw that line from. 178 degrees. What
The
quadrant can that angle be found?
the second quadrant
The-
greater than 90 to 180 degree.
Okay, second quadrant. So we can draw that angle. And so we can draw that bearing in this from the second quadrant. 180. Okay, let's move to another person. Let's say 180. Okay, 200 degrees. 200 degrees. Um, A fossa. A fossa.
Sir,
Yeah. So
sir.
let's hear from you. 200 degrees. What quadrant should
The third quadrant.
we draw 200 degrees in?
The third quadrant.
So 200 degrees will have to come from the third, yes, the third quadrant, which is from 0.001 degrees. Lucas has answered the question. Mubarak, is Mubarak still in the class?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Mubarak, we have 001 degrees. From what quadrant should we draw this line for 001 degrees?
The first one.
The first quadrant. First quadrant,
Yes.
001 degree. Can you explain why we have to draw from the first quadrant?
Because the first one contains between 0 to 90.
Is that correct? Is that correct? Okay. So let us say one last one. 349 degrees. 349 degrees.
The fourth one.
No, don't answer. I'll call someone. I'm looking at people that hasn't answered yet. Winner is no longer in class. Mubarak, you've answered.
Yeah.
Matilda.
The fourth one, sir.
Yes, the 249 should come from the fourth quadrant. Matilda, can you explain the reason for your answer?
Because TV 49. No, if you enter any other one, e big pass
What
the
is
rest.
another one? Can you express
So
yourself without using pigeon? What is if you enter anyone? Please express yourself correctly. Okay, we are listening. Matilda.
sir,
You made me laugh this evening. Okay, yeah, I understand what you just said, but I need you to express yourself like correctly. Why is 349 located at the fourth quadrant? Not say because if you enter another one. Please use a different language.
okay, because TV 49, the
Yes,
number is bigger than the rest angle, and you can find TV 49 TV 60 angle. That is the fourth one.
the fourth quadrant. Very good. So that is the exact reason why we can find it there. So this is just an introduction of the three-digit bearing. We have not actually started working with it, but this is the foundational part that will help us when we start working with it. So please, does anybody have is there any sort of maybe something you don't understand? Because we'll come to the end of today's class. Next time, we will progress from here and see what we can do. Does anybody have a question so far? Does anyone have a question? Okay. So Everybody is saying they're good. Everybody is saying they're good. So I think in the absence of any question, then we can say I think we're safe to end the class here. So until next time, I'll catch you guys. Be safe and study hard. Bye for now.